Welcome to the second day of Keysight University Live. I'm Daniel Bogdanoff, a test gear geek here at Keysight, and I'll be your host for this event. I'm here live in Colorado Springs, and we have a great day planned for you, or I guess it's evening if you're east of the Atlantic, but either way, if you joined us yesterday or tried to, we had so many people show up, the servers crashed. Thank you all for understanding, and you can watch the replay on the day one page. There's a link for that at the bottom of this page. And honestly, if we're gonna have a problem, that's the one I wanna have. I love that everyone is as excited as I am for this event. We also had a ton of questions rolling yesterday, so I'll do more Q&A at the end of this stream. If you're live, you can put your questions in chat now. Today we have a few things happening. Near the end of the stream, we'll draw today's winners. We'll get more into details later, but we have huge prizes. 9 winners today, and we announced a couple of those winners already at the end of the video near the bottom of this page. I'll re-announce those in this stream as well, so you don't have to bounce around. You should still go check out that other video though. We looked at boosting a wireless key fob with your face. It's one of my favorite videos we've ever made. We also tried out this little reflector. We made power measurements of the key signal with a Field Fox, and we actually have some new high-end Field Fox models releasing today. We also have an interview with our local Field Fox guru, Sarah, who is the brains behind that car key video. She came in to talk about some of the cool and unusual measurements folks have made with a Field Fox. It's super versatile, so let's first quickly look at what the Field Fox is capable of, and then we'll jump into that interview with Sarah. After that, I'll draw some winners and do some live Q&A, so put your questions in chat, and here's the Field Fox video.
Field testing modern communication networks puts new demands on your equipment and typically requires trade-offs between capabilities and portability. Simple cable tests and low-band RF measurements can't give you all the information you need. Modern communications demand accurate microwave frequency measurements in a wide range of harsh environments. Whether up high on a tower or in the furthest reaches of civilization, you need rugged, high-performance RF analyzers that meet tough field test specs and keep up with rapidly evolving technologies, all in one portable unit. Keysight's Field Fox handheld analyzers help you troubleshoot, monitor, and test network installations. Field Fox is the industry's most integrated handheld analyzer. It's easily configured as a cable, antenna tester, spectrum analyzer, network analyzer, signal source, and much more. Field Fox makes millimeter wave field test a reality today, delivering benchtop measurement precision and demodulation for wideband applications. Plus, with its superior dynamic range, you can detect the smallest and most elusive signals in complex radar and electronic warfare environments. Being one of the lightest handhelds on the market, with long-lasting swappable batteries, you don't have to sacrifice capabilities for portability. And Field Fox's task-driven user interface helps keep your field engineers on task and on time. Wherever the signal goes, Field Fox gives you the highly rugged, compact, lightweight, and high-performance measurement you need to keep your communication network performing optimally. Learn more by visiting us online at keysight.com.
The Field Fox really does a lot. We only scratched the surface of what it can do in our car key fob video. We did some power measurements in RTSA mode, but engineers have found some really interesting and creative ways to use one. To learn more about that, we sat down with Sarah, our local Field Fox guru.
Are coming from the satellite ground station.
So that was so awkward. Why'd you make it awkward?
I don't know, because I kept saying the same words. Should I start over?
So we just came out with a new Field Fox. Can you tell me about some of what it does and why it's new and cool?
Yeah, so we have 8 new models that just launched. They can be up to 54 gigahertz. Actually, the 54 gigahertz model is on pre-order, but you can order it now. And then it expands the bandwidth up to 120 megahertz.
So bandwidth, if you're unfamiliar with RF, is basically how wide from the start frequency to the stop frequency you can see, because it doesn't go to DC. And what do we have running on the Field Fox now in front of us?
Right now we're looking at Wi-Fi and Bluetooth signals. There's probably something else, because who knows what goes on in this building going on there. But we're at around the 2.45 gigahertz frequency.
So you're probably seeing on the screen right now like Bluetooth pulses and Wi-Fi pulses, and then whatever weird things are manufacturing line is doing on either sides of
or
the
maybe
wall,
these
pretty
lights in here. I don't know.
Yeah, that was funny. In the anechoic chamber, we weren't able to use our studio lights because the noise floor was like 7 dB higher or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. So that's why anechoic chambers are nice. The beauty of the anechoic chamber is these foam spikes should absorb all the reflections. So like when you measure something in a line of sight to the antenna, it shouldn't get reflections like off the back wall or off the side walls. It's just that, that's why I think people call a lot of RF black magic, is because there's so much nuance to these different measurements and noise floors and figuring out if you pass compliance. And this band is pretty much wide open for as long as you don't bust over the frequency power cap, then you can do kind of whatever you want in 2.4 gigahertz. The FieldFox is commonly used for interference testing. Can you talk a little bit about how that works and why people do it?
Yeah. So as we have more and more technologies that are developing, like smart everything, Alexa in your house or whatever, each of those devices are putting off some form of RF radiation, and some frequencies are emitted. And so it affects each other. And that's going to be an increasing problem as we move to 5G. 5G overlaps with some satellite bands, stuff like that. So RTSA stands for real-time spectrum analysis, and it's reading the spectrum in real time. The colors represent like how often that trace shows up. And then it measures the intensity of the signal, and it's really useful for pinpointing those little things that might be bothering your network or bringing down your whole network, because electronic warfare, and that's the goal of some people. So there's instances I've seen of RTSA being used in a lot of different ways. For example, like medical IoT. There's so many different devices now implanted or even just in the hospital itself. So they would use a FieldFox for tuning their MRI machine, or tuning and setting and checking the charging capabilities of like an implant. So that's one instance. And then there's even in like the military, in the field, you can actually use a FieldFox to detect like an IED, because that's emitting some level of, some frequency. And if you know what frequency they run at, you can scan the field for IEDs and prevent, an explosion.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. So basically you pick up on the chatter between the receiver and the...
So what it usually shows up is like this band, like kind of the bottom band that's probably showing on the screen right now, is flat, and then there'll just be this spike in the middle. So I don't know the technicalities behind an IED, but from the pictures I've seen of how they use RTSA for it, it's like a one flat band and then a spike, and it's obvious, and you can see it with this density display.
So the FieldFox does a ton of different things. You talked about RTSA. What else do people do with these things?
Yeah, so one of the cool things is I feel like the applications are endless. I will learn about a new application all the time. I've seen it used in research for detecting cancerous tissue. If you pair it with a materials measurement software that we offer at Keysight, they can do lab tests, and it's not sold as a medical device, I have to say that. But in the lab, you can test and compare your dielectric constants between cancerous tissue and normal tissue, and there's usually a trend there. So there's been research there that's using network analysis. There's been...
So it can do signal analysis and network analysis.
Yeah. So, I guess I should mention it can do over 25 different measurements. So
name them all. Go.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But it has 3 basic or 4 main models, I guess you could get it in. So there's network analyzer, signal analyzer, combo analyzer, which is everything, and then just a cable and antenna tester.
Okay, so talk about cable testing. We actually did a video last year where we looked at finding like a broken part at the end of a cable. Can you we'll link to that. Can you also kind of summarize?
Yeah. So there's a lot of instances of super long cables out there in the world, like in a huge battleship carrier or a plane, or underground cables that run to maybe like solar wind stations or base stations out in the middle of nowhere. They are in the ground, and sometimes the ends or connections of cables are susceptible to erosion or, whatever, a nick. Maybe someone accidentally cuts it, who knows. But you can use the Field Fox to basically send out a pulse, and then it has a reflection that comes back, and it'll tell you like the nature of what's going on. Like the waveform will look a specific way if there's water in it, or if it's a nick or cut versus a bend, that kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard for like cell towers, especially more out in the country, one of our sales guys was saying that people like to shoot the towers for target practice, which is a terrible idea for so many reasons, but occasionally they'll actually cut a cable, and then you can figure out how far up the tower the cable's broken. So
no one's told me that before.
Yeah, that was at a sales training we were putting on over beverages and
PSA, don't shoot the cell towers. But yeah, it can tell you like how far off that reflection comes from once it sends out the signal. So you know exactly where to go.
Time domain reflectometry.
Yes.
I always have trouble with that word.
TDR.
Another cool, you're an avid skier, and you found a really cool thing a school was doing with the network and analyzer part of it. Can you build on that? Yeah,
so another research application was in the Italian Alps, the mountain range. There was a university there that used Field Fox. They made their own type of antenna, and they hiked up a mountain somewhere in winter and shot some signals down through the snow, and they were basically seeing if you can look at the different layers in the snow with a network analyzer. So what they found is that, usually when you are out in the backcountry or in the mountains and you're assessing the snowpack for avalanche danger, you dig a pit all the way to the ground, and it takes a lot of work. And it's prone to human error, but you're basically looking at these different layers. And there's a whole science behind it. You look at like, how far can I stick a pencil versus my hand, and different densities of the snow. That's what collapse under an avalanche or like under weight. And then that's what creates an avalanche. So the snow slides on layers. So they went out and they said, can we predict these layers with the network analyzer? So what they found was that they could send some signals to the ground. They would bounce back up, and then they could read the density of the snow at each level. And they compared it to a manual test. So side by side, it was pretty congruent. And they even missed some, manually, different layers. Yeah. So you could see where the densities lined up with what they were looking at visually, and versus this RF probe that they built.
Cool. Yeah, it seems like you could either bring a shovel or bring a Field Fox.
You should bring a shovel too if you go. That's also a part of avalanche education. Know before you go. That's what they say.
Okay.
But you could bring both.
Any other avalanche safety PSAs?
Read the forecast. Watch YouTube Know before you go. Take an ARI or an Avalanche 1 class.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're actually here doing a Field Fox course for Keysight University. Can you tell us what that course is about and maybe give us kind of a sneak peek, high-level overview?
Yeah. So I recorded a bunch of videos to cover essential 5G field test is what I think I'm going to call it. Something along those lines.
For the title in below.
Yeah.
And, you'll know exactly what it is.
Yeah. And so it's going to go over just because that's what our most recent software launches have been, 5G focused. And it's, a use case for millimeter waves. So basically, if you're taking your network from LTE to 5G, or if you are developing a millimeter wave network that you're almost done in the lab, but you need to do it in the field, Yeah, it's a course that covers those essential tests as like EMF radiation and 5G and RD modulation, phased array antenna, stuff like that.
Cool. We actually have a lot more 5G videos and interviews coming in the coming days for Keysight University Live, so I'm really excited about that. And earlier today, we were measuring some actual 5G signals here on site. We just got 5G here, but it's not necessarily FR2, like frequency range 2. Can you talk a little bit about what we were measuring earlier, and we'll show some of those shots?
So yeah, we were looking at T-Mobile's first gen 5G that's available now at a lower FR1 frequency. So we couldn't get it in the center of the building, which is how 5G works. Unless they're going to put a T-Mobile antenna in this building, we probably won't be able to get it here in the middle in the studio. So do you have a question about that?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, we get 4G like right here, and we had to go over to the window to actually get the 5G to pop up.
Right. So walk to the window. We turned on 5G in our over-the-air analysis on the Field Fox. So we were looking at, I think it picked up one or two towers nearby. So it was showing different KPI metrics for those towers. And that's a really exciting, it's not new. It's not a new software offer. Well, it's like 6 months old, but that is the future of 5G. So it's cool to be able to like actually see here, locally, visualize these signals.
Yeah, so you can like walk around and see all the different towers and the different signal strengths. And if you have the right like phased array antenna, you can even see a lot more. Can you describe what you can see? Yeah,
so 5G, which I'm sure you'll learn in the future here soon with Keysight University Live. It has to do with millimeter wave beams that are forming and basically like arcing to your device. And so they use phased array antennas on these base stations to send out those signals. So the Field Fox pairs to a phased array antenna so that you can pick up and actually visualize those signals and look at the beam sweeping and the beam forming that's happening.
Awesome. Yeah, so we have a ton of 5G stuff on Keysight University. One of the struggles I had when we started researching the 5G stuff was there's some really high-level overviews of 5G and then some really, really technically deep white papers, but there wasn't anything in between. And for me, just to understand how 5G was working, I wanted to get kind of deep, but not so deep that I was in over my head on how 5G worked. So we put together a ton of 5G courses over there that I'm proud of what we ended up with. And I haven't seen your course yet, but I guarantee you by the time this is released, I will have watched it. And
yeah, it sounds like it will complement it well because mine won't go super deep technically. So it'll just graze over the technologies.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So starting high level and then having a chance to dig deeper is really how I prefer to learn. So check that course out and check out the new Field Fox. Any other parting advice for Field Fox users or people considering a Field Fox?
Well, if you need something that can literally do it all, you can even lift weights with it. I was holding it up earlier, building my shoulder muscles. Don't quote me on that. I don't think we sell it that way.
Not a medical or exercise device.
Yeah, not developed for medical or exercise. But if you need an all-in-one handheld analyzer that has been proven to be just as precise and accurate as our benchtop measurements, all fit into this one little package that you can hold out with one hand, and you can take into the field because it's battery operated. It's not plugged in right now. Then this is your device.
Okay, let's end with a cool screenshot.
Okay.
You were showing me earlier, if I turn on Bluetooth pairing on my phone, it gets ridiculous. So let's see.
Well, and thank you so much, Sarah, for that interview and for helping out with the Field Fox video, the wireless key fob video earlier today. So if you haven't checked out that video, you should definitely go check it out. I've also been watching chat during that interview. We have a ton of questions rolling in. The team is also moderating and sending me chat questions. We'll do some more Q&A since so many people had questions. We couldn't get to them all yesterday. We'll do more today, so put your questions in chat now, and I will get to them in just a minute. But first, it is time to draw today's winners. Every weekday during this week and every Tuesday until the end of April, we are drawing winners right here on the Keysight University Live webpage. Each day we will have a first prize winner who will win their choice of a nice scope, function generator, DMM, a couple other things like I talked about yesterday. We will also have 5 winners who win their choice of one of the brand new Smart Bench Essentials products. There's a new scope, DMM, function generator, and power supply. So check those out as well, the Keysight Smart Bench Essentials products. And there's also a new Field Fox. We just released, like Sarah said, a higher frequency range for the Field Fox. And you can win one of those as part of the daily prize. On Friday and once at the end of April, we're going to draw a grand prize winner who wins a much bigger prize, including their choice of one of these VNAs. So pretty awesome prize. I'm pretty excited. Let's go ahead and draw today's winners. We draw these daily. We're going to be daily live here on the site at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. That's -6 UTC. Someone pointed out in chat. The time change got to us. We've been saying -7. So I'm sorry if you missed out yesterday or today. We'll change that on the website. Today's winners of the U1282As. So we have 3 DMM winners, the handheld DMMs. They are Revathi Ravuri, Brett Johnson, and Mike Abbott. Congratulations to those winners. The Smart Bench Essentials winners, they each get their choice of one of these 4 pieces of gear. We have Ricky Niobny, Frank Luigi, Mark Plans, Philip Montserrat, and Jamie Hicks. And the first prize winner who gets their choice of basically one of these and a scope is Philip Handley. Congratulations to all our winners. We'll be in touch with you shortly via email, so make sure you have Keysight not blocked in your email inbox or anything like that. And that is the end of the formal stream for today. A couple questions we saw yesterday. Yes, our servers crashed because so many of you showed up. Again, that's a great problem to have. We are obviously up and live today and running, so we're really excited about that. And we should be better going forward. Hopefully no more server issues. The other question was, we have announced winners in both the video at the bottom of the Keysight University page and in the live stream. Yesterday we didn't announce. It's the same drawing, it's the same contest. You sign up once at Keysight University Live or kulive.keysight.com, which you're already here watching it, so you've already signed up. You're already in the drawing. We'll start re-announcing those winners again, both in the bottom video. We usually put those live around 8 a.m. Mountain Time, and then the live stream is at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. We'll put all the winners in the live streams as well. But we wanted to get a couple early out there for you in the YouTube video. So, Q&A, and there have been some global Microsoft Teams issues today, not just for us and yesterday. So I have questions in chat from the team, and I'm going to just start in on questions. Thank you all for putting those in. First question, what is a good, I'm going to paraphrase, a basic electronics bench or oscilloscope? We really like the 1000X oscilloscopes. They all look the same from the back. The EDUX is a awesome, pretty reasonably affordable scope to start with, and the same chipset is in the higher end scope. So you get a lot of that performance and functionality from this scope that you would get from a much higher end scope. So part of the Smart Bench Essentials products is we wanted to make a lab more accessible both to universities and students, but also to lower capability, lower resource labs. So we think the Smart Bench Essentials is a great starting point for a bench build. We also did a video yesterday on things you should have in your electronics bench. So make sure to check out the video over on the Keysight Labs YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, make it a point to go do that. If we hit 100,000 subscribers, we're pretty close. We're just a few thousand away. If we hit 100,000 subscribers, we're going to add some more scopes and DMMs to the giveaway. So more prizes if we hit 100K during Keysight University Live. What else? Does the Field Fox have a LAN or other external interface, and can it be controlled by a Skippy? Yes. So one of the way we actually recorded the key fob video earlier is we had the Field Fox hooked up through LAN to a computer, and we screen captured, video recorded the screen of the computer, and that's how we were able to show the key measurements for does a key fob, can you increase the signal of your key fob? So definitely check out that video, and you can actually use that remote interface for that. You don't have to, you can also there's some other connectivity ways like USB, I think, but Sarah can clear that up in chat if I botched that one. What else? Does Keysight publish articles? We do. There's a lot of different ways that we publish. So you can go check out the blog, blogs.keysight.com. We're constantly posting blogs over there. There's a category of it that's technical insights that if you're a part of this event, I think that's a good place for you to go check out. We talk about how to use different products, and often some of the videos that we create are sourced and like the ideas come out of those blogs, or bits of the ideas come out of those blogs. So I write over there as well. We have some really fun articles, some really educational articles on the blogs. We're also constantly in trade journals and stuff, and we have, I don't know the URL off the top of my head, but white papers and app notes and ebooks on the Keysight webpage. And of course, there's Keysight University if you want to do more video learning. I know when a lot of you signed up, you said you like to do video learning, so Keysight University, learn.keysight.com should be a great fit for you. The recommended course is at the bottom of this webpage for today. It's on, I think, 5G or FieldFox. I'd have to double check. What else? Looking through questions. What equipment do I have to acquire in order to calibrate an RF and network analyzer? That's a really good question. So when you use a network analyzer, you pretty much have to calibrate it every time you use it, or your measurements aren't necessarily valid. So calibration comes in a lot of different forms. I'll put this over here, and we can zoom in on that. How about that? You can look at the beautiful front end of this bad boy. How about up here? There we go. So the thing that RF gear is a little tricky because these ports are a little more sensitive to changes in power over frequency, essentially. So if you add connectors or connector savers or cabling or devices to these ports, you're going to change your measurements. So you have to calibrate each of your ports to make sure you get good, high-quality measurements. So what you do before you make a measurement is you hook up some sort of calibration system, and you tell your VNA, hey, we're calibrating, and it figures itself out. So there's a couple different calibration options. There's mechanical calibration kits, which you basically test it as a through line, as a short, as an open, short, open, and load, and through. So SOLT are often what the acronym is. And there's mechanical calibration kits that are manual. You have to go physically get out your torque wrench and do all the adjustments yourself. We also have an electronic calibration module called eCal, and it's super handy. You just plug it in, and our VNAs control it over USB. And you pretty much just say calibrate, and it does it all automatically for you. On that note, we also just came out with RCal, which is a signal analyzer calibration. We have more about that on the webpage. So normally you don't think about having to calibrate your spectrum or signal analyzers before each measurement, but the way technology is progressing and the way that things are getting more and more complex, it helps to have an extra calibration for your signal analyzer that's traceable. So definitely go check that out. If you search for RCal, in Google or on the Keysight.com page, you'll find some information on that. Hopefully we'll have an interview later in this event that talks about why in the world would you calibrate a signal analyzer. So we have some stuff coming there as well. More questions. Are your courses free? Yes, the Keysight University Live courses, or Keysight University courses, they're all free. They're all video-based. I have a couple over there as well, like around 5G, and we have some oscilloscopes videos, or courses, and there's a ton of courses. We're going to have over 100 courses by the end of the year, so there's a ton of great things to go check out. That's learn.keysight.com, or check out the featured course at the bottom of this page. Other questions? What happened? Ooh, yes. What happened to the custom Nixie tube that was made for me? So Dalibor Farney makes custom Nixie tubes, and we reached out to him to get him to make a custom Nixie tube, and he did. I have it. I'm working through a couple kinks, but it's coming. I know it's been a long time, but you got to be patient on that one. Yes, I get questions about that all the time. Yes, it's beautiful. I know I haven't done a video, but I want to make sure to do it justice because it's literally a piece of art. So stick around, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll see that one coming later. What else? You can keep putting your questions in chat, and the team will keep sending them to me. Any reference data available from other device users of the FieldFox? I don't think you really need reference data for the FieldFox. Maybe Sarah can clarify in the chat window, but all of our equipment, when we make it, comes calibrated from the factory. You can send it back in for calibration. And of course, for the FieldFox, if you're using it in network analysis mode, you still have to do your calibrations up front. But I don't know that you would necessarily need reference data from someone else. Other questions? When will the Smart Bench Essentials series be available to purchase? It's available now. Check out your local distributor. You can go to keysight.com/find/distributor or go over to keysight.com and type in what you're looking for. We have a link for Smart Bench Essentials, I believe, on this page. We also have the Smart Bench Essentials contest. So we're giving away a bunch of prizes, sweepstakes, sign up and you win it. We also have a contest going on for the Smart Bench Essentials, linked at the bottom of this page, where you don't have to leave it up to chance. You can tell us why you think you should get a fresh lab setup from us, and we're gonna pick a winner a week for the next 6 weeks to get a Smart Bench Essentials setup, all 4 of them, for free. So go check out that link at the bottom of the Keysight University Live webpage that you're on now, and go sign up, get your entries in quick. Our first cutoff time is Friday, this coming Friday, and then we'll do 1 a week going on from there. And what other questions do we want to take today? I have been waiting for some test bench equipment. Is it a good start to have a power supply, function generator, DMM, and oscilloscope? Yes, that's exactly why we have, this makes me nervous. I don't want to drop my VNA. That's why we came out with these 4. These are the 4 things that almost every electronics bench is going to have in some way, shape, or form. So that's a great place to start. They make a nice pair all together, so definitely start there. I also did a video yesterday on yesterday's day 1 page about things you should have in your lab. So it's not just about test equipment. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into building up a good lab. So go check out that video. There's also a scorecard you can download and score your lab and put it in the comments. It's kind of fun. We saw a lot of scores yesterday, anywhere from 0 or 15s all the way up to people had perfect scores, which was very impressive. So if you had a perfect score, congratulations. Let's see what else. Can RCal calibrate non-Keysight equipment? Check out the RCal page. I am not sure on that one. I think it really depends. Which scope model has a bottle opener? So I put a bottle opener on my oscilloscope at home. There's a video for that over on the Keysight Labs channel. You can check that out. We did it's like Keysight versus Fluke. Who did it better? And it was a bottle opener video. It actually works surprisingly well. I still use it because it's in my basement. And that's the only one I have in my basement. Other questions? Does Keysight make dynamic signal analyzers? Yes, we have signal analyzers, the whole range. So go check out, if you search for signal analyzers on Keysight or spectrum analyzers, you'll see them there, all the different options. Yes. Oh, the lab notebook. So in the countdown timer, we had a lot of people. We had some fun images playing. And in the Build a Bench video, we had a lot of, I'll put it right here. We had a lot of people asking or commenting, hey, one of the things you didn't put in your video was, hey, you need a lab notebook. So we actually have these. We just made them. Maybe I might even send 1 or 2 of these out to folks who signed up. We'll see. Put a note in chat or something. Maybe we'll pick a couple. But if you open it up, if I can open it up, I am not Vanna. I'm an engineer. We have some of these. I'm going to stable right on this. We have some of these pictures that were in the countdown timer are in this lab notebook. And then, of course, it's graph paper because, why would you want lines if you could have graphs? Graph paper. And I am not good at showing off these books. There we go. So these are some pretty fun lab notebooks we have coming out. There's a button on the webpage that says, make sure I'm getting updates. So make sure to hit that button and make sure you're getting updates for email updates, because that's how these are going to get given out. We're going to give away, I think, over 100 of these later after the event to people who signed up for the event as part of a follow-up, thanks for joining us thing. So make sure to hit that button, make sure you're getting our emails, and you could win one of these awesome lab books. They're super fun. I love these photos. Let's go back to this. This is one of my favorites. It's a good one. Okay. So the team did a really good job. We did these ourselves. We have some Photoshop pros and that are helping out. We'll take a couple more questions. Any battery-powered oscilloscopes? We don't currently, I don't think we have any battery-powered oscilloscopes. There is a 6000, not 6000X, but a 6000 series InfiniVision battery-powered scope. Usually it's for like automotive testing when you're out in the field, or people want the floating ground, but it's better to just like use an isolation transformer and an extension cord. So battery-powered scopes are kind of their whole beast, and it's usually better to figure out a test setup that doesn't require a battery one. We also sell some handheld oscilloscopes that are kind of the Keysight yellow boxes. You can check those out as well. Lots of people in chat want the notebook. Yes. I'll pick a couple of your usernames. Make sure there's contact information in your about, and I'll try and ship a couple people a lab notebook. Like on your YouTube, because I'll have to go on your profile. So put an email address or something in your about page. Learned that one from Dave Jones. What else? Oh, this is a good question. I like this. Are there any digital electronics equipment that, in my opinion, perform worse in some aspect than analog electronics gear? There's one thing that I really like analog scopes for that digital scopes don't do as well, and that's XY mode. So if you've seen like oscilloscope music where they're playing images with music on the oscilloscope screen, that's XY mode. They send one channel into the x-axis and one channel into the y-axis, and you can basically plot it out. Analog scopes, because of how they were built with the magnetic deflectors, they do XY mode just as well as they do, normal time mode. I don't know what it's called, normal mode. So that's where I think the one area that analog scopes have an edge on digital scopes. Other than that, and digital scopes are getting better at it too, but it's not quite as good. We'll take one or two more questions, and then we're going to call it a day. Let's see. Man, so many of you are asking questions. It is awesome. We've had a couple questions about, how would S11 help to know that a spectrum analyzer is calibrated? So S11 is measuring what happens on port 1 as a result of what you put out of port 1. So if you have an open on S11, you should see an open circuit, like a pure open. Or if you have a short, you should basically get back everything you put into that channel. So like if it's shorted and you try to send stuff, you're just going to get reflections back. So that's why S11 tells you, if say you had a cable here, let's put this back up here where it's easier to see. Say you had a adapter here and a cable, and the cable ran, and then you put a short at the end, and that's where your device is measuring. You want to calibrate out that cable and that device, the cable and the attachment, so that you're measuring what's actually happening on your device and not right here at the end. So that's where S11 and calibration come in handy together. And we will take one. Someone says XY mode works terrible on digital scopes. Yes, I 100% agree. I'll take one last question. I see a lot of these questions about isolated channels, both on power supplies and oscilloscopes and function generators and like ground reference on function generators. Generally, unless it says it's electrically isolated, it's not isolated. There's still usually a spec for channel-to-channel isolation. So, what do you see on channel 2 if you put a big signal into channel 1? And the isolation is generally quite good, but they're not technically or purely isolated because it's not like optically isolated. They share a ground plane, things like that. So if you really need isolated measurements, you can check out probing attachments. So like differential probes will isolate your measurement. And we have some videos and a course on oscilloscope probes over at Keysight University that talks about isolation and making some of those measurements. So you can also, we've done some blogs on floating your oscilloscope and how to make that happen. So you can check out, if you search like how to float an oscilloscope Keysight, I think that will show up. We have some really interesting information over there. I'm not going to go into it live because I don't want to mess that up, and it's a really important thing to get right. So make sure to check the proper documentation before doing anything like that. And that's what we're going to call it a day. Thank you all so much for joining. We're going to be right back here live at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. That's -6 UTC. So we will start a countdown timer around like 9:45 or so. So no need to spam the refresh page. We'll just start that timer. And we should be good to go. I'm really excited to see you back here tomorrow. We have a great video tomorrow, how to use an oscilloscope. It's probably the most educational oscilloscope video that we have ever done. I'm excited for that one. And we'll have a stream with more winners and an interview with Jay Alexander, our CTO, who's kind of he built the scopes division in the group here, and we have him to thank as the leader for a lot of the technology we have as Keysight and just in the industry overall. And we have Mike Hoffman coming in to do a live EXR demo. So he'll be here live tomorrow with a scope, doing live demos, taking live Q&A. I'm super excited about that, so make sure to come back in tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'm Daniel Bogdanoff, and I'll see you tomorrow.